Hey everybody, welcome back to Captain of Industry. Hope you're having a sweet day today. I did something that I sometimes do, but I don't really make it a big point and like not a really, I guess, major part of my channel. But I decided to do something just to kind of see how close my guesses have been and how close my, I suppose, intuition has been on my setups here. And so I wanted to share with you some math. Yeah, I did the math on a couple of different things to see just how close we are in production, and mostly I wanted to see how sustainable it is. So the point of expansion in here was to generate more steam and have that steam generate more water for us, right? So this water is supposed to basically satisfy all the needs of our citizens. So I want to talk about how much water we're generating and how much water we're consuming, and also talk about how much steam we're doing, how much naphtha we're doing, fuel gas, sour water, all these different things, right? I wanted to know what's our consumption and what's our production, okay? Now, one of the ways you could do this is to click this this area over here, and you just find a resource like sour water, for example, and you just right-click it. Not right-click it, sorry. You would click this and then left-click it, and then you'll see a graph, right? You know what your usage and consumption is, right? And this stuff is all like laid out for you for the year, etc., lifetime, etc. But this is island wide, okay? This is not specifics, okay? So in other words, those charts are going to show me what everything is doing, not what this specific area is doing. So for example, I might have a surplus of sour water over here and a deficit over here, and the graph's not going to show me that. The graph's just going to show me total island wide. And so I might think, oh cool, I'm fine. And then this whole thing shuts down because we're not getting enough sour water, right? So I needed to do both sides of the island kind of separately to figure it out. And here's what I come up with. Both sides are currently generating more fuel than they're consuming. And so we should see the fuel tanks full constantly. And we do, you can see that. This one here is generating 216 units of fuel. It's consuming 144. And this is all based on a 60-second rate, like a 1 month, right? So 216 and 144, that's good. It means we could add some more crackers. I could add maybe 2 more, consume an extra 48 units of fuel. And if I had the steam, that would work. So, and we do have the steam, by the way. This side actually produces a lot more steam than is needed. And so we can add additional power on this side if we want to. We can add additional infrastructure to generate more resources, which is what I'm going to end up doing because my naphtha tank is not usually as full as it needs to be. Speaking of naphtha, this side is generating 180 units of naphtha, but it's consuming, or at least its demand consumption is 252. So we're underproducing naphtha and overproducing fuel. It makes sense then to add 2 more crackers. So when I designed this little setup here, I designed it with the possibility of expansion in mind. And what I mean by that is I'll be able to take basically these 2 units right here. I can flip it over now, and I should be able to just pop that on right like this, okay? And just like that, we're completely hooked up to distribute additional naphtha to the system, right? Now, of course, we're going to need to do a couple of things to this arrangement to get this to actually build. Because I got to flip the pipe, for example. So this has got to be flipped. And then that will connect there, I think, just fine. I think so, anyway. Which direction is that facing? I actually don't know that. It's possible that I'm wrong on that one, but it's fine. So what we want to do, right, is we want to get it to where it meets up on this side, right? And so in order to do that, again, with expansion in mind, we should be able to take off of this and extend that. Like that. That gives us the junction points, so the connection points. And then I should now be able to just, I want the whole thing, please. All of it. Should be able to do that now. Actually don't know what way this pipe is supposed to be facing. It's a blueprint. Can't tell from a blueprint, but it's fine. We can then delete this, and this is now going to allow us to consume more. We do have a couple of spare pipes and stuff here that we'll need to look at, and that's heading that direction. So we'll need to flip that. And so some of these do have to be just slightly amended. Like, for example, this plan here. These two are fine the way they are. However, it's probably in my best interest to have this come over on this side. But when the pipes are done, I'll be able to see where they are, and then I can do them from there. I mean, otherwise I could just do this unit by unit. But this copy and paste function, when I was looking at this and making this a thing, the copy and paste function did not include pipes. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll just copy these 2 units and pop, and then I'll make the pipes. But now that I get to copy the pipes too, it's a little bit of a wrench in that, but that's fine. So we'll unpause these and get them to build these if they can. Now this is going to consume more fuel, 48 additional units of fuel. We have that capacity available, so that'll be fine. But we're now going to be barely producing enough fuel to satisfy this and vehicles. That's the trick here, and vehicles, okay? So this thing here is going to prioritize always sending fuel to here, sending diesel to here. And so if the vehicles are using more fuel, that's kind of an issue, right? But there's nobody on this fuel station as far as the vehicle goes. There's nobody managing this. The trucks are coming here and refueling themselves whenever they want to from this side, because this one's really far away. So like if there's a vehicle that's already over here and it wants fuel, it will come over here and use it, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? Like it's probably getting it from another source. Okay, now I did all of these numbers, calculations, whatever you want to call them, without factoring in coal burners. So if we start using more steam than we can handle, I can flip on the coal burner and still do that. But for now, no coal is factored into this. For steam, we're generating 576 units of steam. If all of these boilers are going simultaneously all the time, 576 units of high pressure steam, but we're only consuming 372. We have loads of room here to expand on our steam, and that could mean additional water, which is exactly what we're going to do with it, since our water generation on this side is 600 units and our water consumption on this side is 804. You can see we're down some water. Now we can alleviate that a little bit by heading over to this side, which is what the plan was to do. Take the additional water we're making here. It pops into this tank. Notice it's full. Nice full tank. Yeah. And we're going to send that water through this pipe, as you see. It goes all the way down in. It splits underneath here, like we saw before, and it comes all the way over here. It then ends up in this pipe, which is then going to take... I clean these up just a little bit, make them nice and neater. Nice and neater? Yeah, nice and neater. For some reason, I couldn't get this to go sideways up it. I mean, it's just the fact that it's going a little higher. It wouldn't let me go right alongside it, but it is what it is. So we'll end up going up like this, and it goes all the way across here on the very top. Nice clean lines with pipes all the way next to each other. They go underneath this bridge. There has to be a little bit of squiggle in order to fit there. Maybe I could have moved the bridge over a little bit, but then it would interfere with the wall. So I opted not to do that. Then this pipe goes all the way up to the highest point it can, is 3, because it needs to get above these pipes, travel this way, cuts this direction off of our now 2 gas injection pumps, so we can process even more of that CO2. It's then going to travel this direction. Oh, and by the way, the gas injection pumps, right, they require seawater. No point now in having a pipe going from here all the way over here, so I got rid of that pipe that was along the ground here, and now it's just tapping into this big pipe right here. I mean, these giant seawater pipes are literally going right next to them, so now they just tap into those. Makes more sense. This water pipe, though, it's going to come all the way over and terminate here, and all we need to do is take this pipe and connect it to this, and that gets us water directly into this tank. But I'm actually going to amend that, because water into this tank is also fed from this balancer, and this balancer is actually kind of regulating, if you will, distribution for almost everything that needs water, aside from this area and the boilers. And so what I'd really like to do is I'd like to get it into the balancer. I think that would be even better than going through this. And I believe that's a pretty straightforward thing to do, albeit there'll be a tiny bit of squiggliness, but Rather than cutting this way and hooking up to that pipe, which is waiting for it to be connected, I'm going to instead just go straight across like this and get it into that balancer that's right there. So I think what I'll do is, yeah, we'll go under here like so, and then go above. Oh, almost like there. Yep. And then I can just pop it into that. Or if it lets me, yeah, directly into the balancer. And what that's going to do, it's going to allow the water surplus that we have on that side to feed this side. But here's the problem. And I'm going to let this finish, but here's another problem though. On the other side, okay? On the main side that we started in, our water generation, if you count the rain catchers, you have to count the rain catchers for this. If you count the rain catchers, our water generation is just 10 units of water less than our consumption. That's it. 10 water. And that's the difference. So I was so close. Like, this has been managed without doing any math. It's just intuition and feeling and testing and trial and error. And I am now generating, I think it's because of the increase in population now, but I am now generating just 10 units of water less than I'm consuming on this side. So very cool. Obviously need to add more, but that's okay, because for steam, we're generating 84 units of steam more than we're consuming over here too. So I have room to use that steam. I'm going to be using some of it to get some additional cracking going. So diesel on this side is the most skewed because this is obviously the central place where everybody's getting their fuel. This is where everything is really busy. But we're currently creating 360 units of fuel, diesel, and we're only using 96 plus the vehicles. And I have to say plus vehicles because I really don't know how much the vehicles are using regularly. Again, if you click this and you go into diesel over here, you can see like this chart is great and all, but it doesn't break it down for a specific segment. What it does is it says, okay, so your production is 2134, your consumption is 3490. Well, that's just flat false. There shouldn't be that, unless of course the vehicles are using a lot more than I think they are. It's possible also that chart is just not factoring in, the latest developments, because we had power outages and, we had fuel having problems before, right? And so if everything is running 100%, that's false. We're generating a lot more than we're consuming. So what I want to do is I'm going to add a couple more crackers on this side as well, because we're actually full up on naphtha. And we shouldn't be. We're consuming more than we're producing on naphtha. So this might be a piping issue. If I take a look at naphtha, I believe it's this pipe here. So this pipe is full, and it goes across like this, hooks up and goes this way, and then notice how it just kind of terminates, and it doesn't go anywhere else. So this pipe needs to connect to the other places that are using naphtha, right? So I need to redirect that supply so that I can get it into here. And then we can offset, we can provide the naphtha that we need. We're also going to be sending naphtha, so we're going to create even more than this. We're going to be sending naphtha over here. And again, there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. This is the part of the game where so much is going on and so much has to be done, and I don't know where to start. But here's what we're going to end up doing. I want to start creating medical supplies. Medical supplies are going to be produced over here. And what we're going to end up doing is we're going to need to send, because the problem I'm running into is that medical supplies, it needs resources from kind of everywhere as far as like what we're producing. We're overproducing naphtha someplace. Right now, though, because I did the math, we're not overproducing naphtha anywhere. We're underproducing it. And so that means I can kind of pick and choose where I expand it. And I'm going to expand it over here to kind of bring that supply closer. I'm also going to be, I need to make more chlorine, not just because we're going to be expanding our water treatment soon, but also because we're going to start using it to create plastic and stuff that we need. So let me just take a look at the formulas here so you can see what I'm doing and breaking it down. If I go to disinfectant, any medical equipment plus disinfectant gives me medical supplies. The hospitals require medical supplies constantly fed to them to provide that need and help you with the health problems, right? So I need to produce these two things. Disinfectant is created by taking ethanol, unavoidable, have to make ethanol, and plastic to create disinfectant. So somewhere ethanol has to be created. Luckily, ethanol is travels through pipes, and pipes don't require maintenance. So I can maintenance or power. So I can make as long a pipe as I want and send the ethanol from anywhere. So when I create the ethanol over here, like is what I was wanted to do, I'm going to use the pipe network to get that ethanol to this side of the island. Okay. So ethanol is coming through the pipe network. Plastic, though, has to be created in order to get the disinfectant as well. And also for medical equipment. If I take a look at medical equipment's formula, we need steel and plastic to create medical equipment. Well, plastic is going to be created near the steel. So you'll see that if we create the plastic near the steel, and then we can use then the steel to create medical equipment right there on the spot. Then we'll use that medical equipment plus the disinfectant that we're going to make medical supplies and hook the hospital up on this side of the place over here. Okay. So all of that's breaking down plastic. Plastic needs either ethanol or chlorine, and I highly recommend you use naphtha. It needs either ethanol or naphtha plus chlorine. I highly recommend you use naphtha. It's way easier to generate the quantity that you need for it because ethanol is not a very fast process. I'm going to use ethanol exclusively for disinfectant, at least until I'm required to use it for something else. But it's harder to produce in mass. It's more expensive space-wise, labor-wise, and water-wise to produce ethanol in mass than it is to produce naphtha. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. We're going to create plastic from the naphtha plus chlorine. But chlorine is really inconvenient to transport over here. It goes through pipes, yes. But in order to create enough chlorine for what we need, I'll need one of these units here, these electrolyzer units, okay? Now, the electrolyzer is going to take brine and create 24 units of chlorine. And you might notice the formula that we were just looking at, we only need 6 of it every 60 seconds to create 48 plastic. So one of these is more than enough to generate basically everything we need for that. But we're producing so much brine, okay? A lot of brine. In fact, so much so that I had to upgrade the pipes to transport enough of it. I had to upgrade this into the balancer to upgrade enough of it. And I had to reroute some of the brine supply from here to route around to stick into this this dump as well. So all the brine is routed into here with a maxed out pipe. And that maxed out pipe is still cannot get rid of it fast enough. So I'm still not producing the water that I could be producing because brine keeps getting backed up. It's so much of it. Thankfully, we can dump brine with no pollution, but I'd rather use it. So I thought it might be interesting instead, and it's, do it however you want, I guess, but I'm going to do it this way because I think it's a little bit more interesting. I've made this extra pipe that kind of veers off of this. So this is the brine that goes in to supply for the local chlorine, as well as the brine that goes over here. But from there, I made another pipe this way. It serves like a railing. So now we got like this kind of a bridge looking thing with railings and stuff on the side of here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to route this pipe around. So we're going to take brine through this pipe area with the stacked pipes around, duck under this bridge. We're going to travel across here and get the brine underneath this bridge into this area. And so then we'll create the chlorine locally here with one single electrolyzer. Okay, that's the plan. And I'm not entirely sure where that's going to be yet, but the electrolyzer will go in here somewhere and it will receive the brine and create chlorine locally. Okay. And with that being done, we can then create plastic here. We can then create medical equipment here, then disinfectant here, and in we go, right? As long as we have the ethanol traveling through the pipe network over here, and then I'm going to get that ethanol routed this direction under the bridge and get that going the very same way that the brine is. So these two pipes for ethanol and brine should travel kind of right next to each other around this area to get down this direction and go over there, okay? Pipes can be very long. They don't take any maintenance. They don't take any power. If you need things to go someplace like that, do it with a long pipe, and that's what we're going to do. So that's the plan for getting medical stuff set up. I'm probably going to do most of the spacing and trying to pipe routing and things offline just to show you how it goes. Because I know that stuff is not necessarily the most interesting stuff, especially for people who hate my squiggly pipes. But it's going to be functional. It's going to work. So let's do this one step at a time. For this area, I need to expand the number of crackers I'm using. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to go right here with it. And we should be able to fit you in, albeit not with that pipe sticking up. So I need to go about like, I think here. I want the junctions, but I don't want the pipes. There we go. Stick that right here. So this is an extra 2 cracking units. The oxygen will then go over top of this and this part. And it feeds it in there and goes everywhere it needs to go. These 2 cracking units will be responsible for taking the additional diesel we have and creating additional naphtha. Now, that additional naphtha is actually going to be directed to where we need it for the plastic generation, like I just said. However, we're going to be creating even more than this on the other side of the tracks here, so that we can send it to a couple of boilers on this side and provide additional power, because we're going to start expanding to the point where we can't handle the power. Notice my power is quite stable. I say this at the risk of it going red soon, but quite stable indeed. And so we're gonna, yeah, we're fine for now, but as I expand, it's gonna become a problem, and I don't want it to become a problem. Take a look at vehicles. We're making a bigger excavator. I have gone ahead and scrapped a few of the smaller ones, so we're getting that going. It's a slow process, but it's happening. Need 80 vehicle parts for these. Yikes. This was boosted, but I'm not going to boost that anymore. And we'll just go ahead and queue up a bunch of trucks from there. So as we create the vehicle parts, this is my entire vehicle parts assortment. It's not very big. It's pretty pathetically small, but it's doing the job. It's slowly but surely doing the job, and it's fine. Keep in mind also, for those of you who said I should upgrade every truck, you're going to consume more fuel that way too. And I prefer not to do that. I like to do things purpose-driven. A functional, purpose-driven expansion in something I think is much better than just a blanket upgrade for everything. And so there are good uses for these trucks. They don't need to, I mean, you have things where you're gonna need to transport, 5 resources that way, 10 resources that way, etc. You don't need the giant trucks to use their additional fuel resources. And so trucks like this, they got no purpose, right? We should assign them to the mines. And as I upgrade these vehicles, as I scrap certain ones, I'm assigning the big trucks to the mines. They're just going to sit there until they're needed. Sure, we have too many trucks that way. But the thing is, I probably should try this actually, because it looks like I have an imbalance here. Remove this truck from this equation, and I actually think this is probably fine the way it is. But see, these guys are just going to sit here. They're not using their fuel. And then when they need to dump it, they'll dump it, and then they'll go get another load. This is efficient, okay? Large trucks handling full loads every time is more efficient than the large trucks handling small partial loads every time, because they use more fuel. So the small trucks have their function. All the busy work tasks around the city, around the island, that can be handled by the smaller stuff. They don't need giant loads to do that. And then all the big trucks that I'm making, I am assigning them directly to a job. They are not something that is just sitting here. I'm going to do this actually now. They are getting assigned directly to a job. So they are not floating around the island doing whatever, right? And that frees up the blue ones to go out and do the floating jobs. So yes, we're extremely busy, but as we get more of these bigger trucks, I can reduce the amount of load we have on the smaller trucks, to the point where we don't have any smaller trucks even on any of these mines. And then the smaller trucks are free to do the things that they need to do, and that's better. So now we're stable again. Of course, I need 25 workers. I'm not sure how that happened. So tell you what, we'll upgrade one of our housing units. Boy, we're out of glass. Is it because you've delivered? Oh, you've been delivering it to this farm. Yeah. Both farms, actually. You split the resource. Okay, cool. How about we make this a priority then? Let's talk about steel as well. So steel is currently used, as you know, for maintenance and everything, and it's very important we keep the steel supply up to maximum. We're very good on mechanical parts now. No big deal. I believe we're also pretty good on electronics, so that's no big deal either. And so what we want to do, we're going to start using steel for the medical parts. So I'm going to need to expand that production too. So here's my plan for steel. In the last video, I got rid of the stuff in this section, but I didn't actually, build anything here. I just sort of got rid of it, and that's it. So today I'm going to sort of sort out and organize what we're going to have here. Ideally, our steel expansion will consist of 4 of these units being laid across here. So what I'm planning to do, I think, is just to basically take these. Like this. And we're going to lay them in right where the old ones were. About like this. Now, the issue with this laying it in is that the belt is not going to line up the way we need it to. These belts are actually going to end up just merging into this existing belt. And then what will happen is less of the steel from this side will go this way. And instead, some of the steel will get permanently redirected that direction to make the medical supplies. So what I'll end up doing is probably placing these... let's not copy the belt, actually. Let's just copy the units instead. Just copy one for now. So what we'll do is we'll have this laid in about like... I mean, right up against it could work, but I feel like I should leave a little bit of gap here, if I can afford to. Yeah, why don't we just leave like one gap here, see if that works for me. 2, 3, and 4. So 4 of these. More steel. Not quite double the steel, but close to double the steel, though. Right? So we got extra machines for this process, but they're fairly spaced out over here. So we're going to make them a little bit more condensed, and I'm going to organize them a little bit differently this time. So we're going to take one of these big guys here. And here's how I want to play this. I'm going to have one of these go on this side. There's just enough space for this to fit. We're also going to flip another one over. And we're going to have that go. I think I should put the slag probably on. Well, this is height 2, so I can go height 1 for the slag over where I need it. But, yeah, the slag is already height 1, so that'll work. Okay. So we'll say the slag goes on this side, and we'll just put it here for now. 2 of these on this side, okay? We're then going to duplicate that again here. And I think I'm going to flip it over. Well, like this. Thank you. So that the slag ends up, being right by the belt. Okay. So that's this. These 4 are going to generate a whole bunch of the molten iron, right? And we're also going to make you use iron scrap too. Let's have that be the priority formula. And then we'll go ahead and copy that to the other units as well. So iron scrap first. And we're getting a lot more scrap now because my edicts are to have recycling increases. And I have both of them selected now. So we have a positive flow of unity. And I just wanted to show you what I have selected here. Water saver 1. That's what's active. And I need that in order to keep up on water because I am underproducing water. So without this edict, our water facilities will drain. The second thing I have is farming boost. That's helping my food supply quite well as my fertilizer production. Then we have recycling increase 1 and 2, both active. And then to help pay for all of this, I also have maintenance 1 on as well. Here you go. To help pay for all of this, I have got both plenty of foods on and 2 of the checkboxes for household goods. And this doesn't directly increase your unity, but what it does is it increases the bonus that you're getting for the household goods that are consumed. So as long as you're producing enough household goods to meet the demand, which the demand is increased by a percentage every time you click this. So in this case, it's up 20% and then another 20% on top of that. I believe that that's compounding. So it's like 50% now probably total. What you end up with on this is just more unity because they're consuming more of the product. So as long as we keep the product up, we're good on that. If we don't keep the product up on this, then it's not really helping us, but it's also not costing us any unity either. All it's doing is increasing demand. Okay, so I've looked at that. Let's take a look at the steel really quick. And like I said, there's a lot of stuff being set up here. So I'm just going to I'm showing you what I'm doing here. We need one of these guys. There's going to be oxygen to be input through here as well. What we're going to do is we're going to space this out to where it's about here. And I'm going to need more room, it looks like. I need just a little bit more room here. It's pretty tight. I'm worried about the pipes. No, I think I can fit this. Yeah, so I'll flip the pipe for exhaust to be on this side. And then we'll go exhaust like that. And then we'll flip it over and do oxygen like that. And then exhaust like that. And so what we end up with, right, is all of these units are all facing exactly where they need to be. Direct input like that. And to get all of the iron to be properly allocated to these different places, all we'll need to do is get a molten balancer and place it like probably, I guess, right here. And then the molten channel can connect there and there and there and there. And then, you know, these can go up and connect like that and like that. And then you can just merge. I guess that's fine. I don't know if you'll let me do this. Yeah, I think you need to probably just merge closer. Something like this, right? No big deal. And then that all goes into the balancer, and then the balancer will direct it where it needs to be. So it'll go like that, out. Let's go ahead and do something like this. Yep. Like so. Flip that back on. There we go. And like that. Okay. So molten balancers are going to handle all the molten iron into these machines. And now I just need to route the piping to get into the oxygen, everything through here. And then these molten channels then, of course, go that way. Really small. And now we have our basically a supply of steel that is always going directly into maintenance, as well as over through here. Like it's just a more closer supply. That allows me to direct these belts and just flip the direction on them. And it'll send it this direction, which is already headed this way into this chemical plant for the liquid nitrogen. But we're not really using a whole lot of liquid nitrogen, at least not enough to warrant this much steel. So this belt here keeps going, right? Designed that way, keeps going and will now provide the resources over here. I will not need liquid nitrogen to go this way, so I will be removing this belt because I don't anticipate needing another chemical plant. The reason why that belt existed was because if I needed a second chemical plant. I don't believe I will, and if I do, I've got lots of room on this side. I'll just do it on this side instead. Okay, so that's the plan. The plans are laid in. You can see how it's nice and compact. Of course, the coal needs to be directed into the here too. Really easy. The belt's already built that way. Just make it happen. I'm not sure what's going on here. Guess I got a bit of a straggler. Yeah. It had some resources on it or something, I guess. So they'll deliver the resources as they need over here. And then they'll get lost because I think they were trying to grab stuff, but whatever. Just recover it and move on. Is there something here? Looks like there is. What is that? You know what? Doesn't matter. Anyway, we'll let them build that. That's my steel expansion. I'm over here, and it looks like they've already got this stuff done, which is pretty nice. So, of course, we don't have the workers for it. I'm working on upgrading the housing so that I can meet that. And that should be a priority now as soon as this is done. This is done now. Okay, good. We almost have this delivered, and then we'll keep going with that. But this is already done, so they're just gonna. I don't have to prioritize this anymore. Perfect. Another greenhouse is complete, and then they'll hopefully now deliver all the glass they need to this area, so we can get the housing done. So all I need to do now is to pipe this appropriately. For the naphtha, we can send it this direction, although there's really no point in doing that until I have it properly routed around where it needs to be. So I need to get this naphtha to be into this balancer, and that is actually a challenge because of the extra pipes that are coming down into the boilers for water. So it's a little bit of a challenge to do that. What I might end up doing with this is to route this perhaps at height 3 above this area. I might go... You're not already height 3, are you? No. You're not. You're just being difficult with me. Yeah. I might go above this instead. And then I can just flow it like underneath here and connect it into that opening. So I'll look at that. That'll send the direct. I need to send all the naphtha this direction. It needs to come out here because this pipe is going to get upgraded. And then this pipe is what is going to ultimately be something that I tap onto to run the naphtha that way too. So you can see how this pipe moves this way. And it goes and stops here for now. What I think I'll do instead is to get it attached to this pipe, this under construction pipe that's paused. And once it gets over here, then I can route it where I need it because this is going all the way to the water already. So rather than going to the water, we just make it go this way and then we hook it up with the rest of them. So we end up with brine, naphtha, and ethanol all kind of going side by side over into this area. And so let me... now that I've sort of explained the plan, I need to reroute my pipes and stuff to figure out how to get that to happen. So give me a little bit of a chance to do that really quick, and I'll be right back. All right, so I just discovered something. Can't believe you guys missed it, because you guys honestly see things that I don't see a lot. These two generators were actually facing the wrong direction. So you see the arrows on the top of them? How all of these are facing down right now and relative to how I'm looking. Well, these ones were facing up, and as a result, they were not spinning at all. The same thing was true for the one on the end here. It was just not spinning. So not sure how that happened, but I went ahead and corrected this problem. And upon doing so, our capacity is now 9.5, which is good because I started noticing that we were low on power, and now it's 9 megawatts. Like, we're very much at the top, the tippy top of what we can actually afford to generate right now. So thankfully we are overproducing steam, and that's going to help a great deal. But we're still underproducing naphtha over here. So therefore, because we're underproducing naphtha, we're also going to be producing less steam than what is estimated. For the time being, I'm just going to flip this coal boiler on, just to make sure we offset that. And we'll go from there. Notice how this tank is completely full now. So is this one. This one's not. So I still need to get going on that. But like, our extra water reserves are here, and they're being funneled from the other side. So I'm hoping that will alleviate some of the stress on this particular fluid storage. But like I said, we have extra steam, and so I can go in and create more water if I need to, and I kind of need to, at least being pumped into this I do. So we're gonna look at opportunities to do that too. It's a little bit challenging to expand, but as long as I keep it on the shore, I can, you know, maybe do something like this. Two of these right here next to each other, and then feed it around. Could do it on this side as well, and feed it around as well. So like, there's opportunities to expand that because we are overproducing steam, and that's the good thing. But we are now finally at the peak of our power once again. Let me just show you here. We've got these two cracking units. They're on, but they're paused because I lack the workers. I believe we just upgraded that town. Yep. So our population can start to grow again. And I might go in and start triggering some of the other ones to upgrade as well. I think eventually, I'm pretty sure this is as big as I'm making the town. I don't think I'm going any bigger than this. I don't think there's any need to. Plus, I want to start getting chicken stuff, chickens and like, you know, meat trimmings and things like that. I wanted to start getting that stuff done too. These 4 are paused because they're just not quite needed right now, but I can always activate them and deactivate them however I wish. And you know, I've got the space to do it, of course. So if I just turn it on whenever they're needed. Notice the fertilizer, maxed out organic fertilizer, looks pretty nice. Because of that, we can look at expanding a little bit more. I also am getting most of the fertilizer from this is actually being fed from the other side right now. So all of these fields here, basically these 6 are the only ones getting organic fertilizer. And actually, I think this one is getting from the other side too. So really, it's more like these 5 are getting organic fertilizer. I would like to change that as much as I can, but the idea that these are full also kind of makes me happy as well, because I have the extra, you know, capacity, I guess, for compost, at least along this belt. I don't have an extra spare tank for compost on this belt though, because this one, it produces, or it takes the compost away just as fast as we can generate it. So I didn't bother with a tank on this side. But from here, this is the biomass from the town. And so maybe we start, you know, being able to, yeah, you can see this stuff starting to get backed up. So I think, yeah, we're gonna start getting some in storage, right? And so with this stuff starting to get backed up, I can start flicking this on just a little bit, right? But, you know, if I don't have the workers, then I don't have the workers. Hydrogen production has just finished. It's gonna open a world for us, guys. Hydrogen production, I'm telling you. It's not that big of a deal. We can now take fuel gas plus a little bit of steam and create hydrogen. 36 units of hydrogen. We can then take, if we want to, naphtha and hydrogen and create additional fuel if we need to. That's pretty diverse, pretty flexible. We can also boil it in a boiler, although that's not very efficient. We kind of don't want to do that. We've already used, to get hydrogen, we've already used 36 fuel gas and steam. So kind of don't want to, you know, just use this resource and then burn it off for steam. We don't really want to do that. However, if we do this, we get steam plus we get 12 depleted steam, which could be then transferred back into water. I think what we'll end up doing with hydrogen off the start, at least for a little while, is using it to create more ammonia. But I want to get into, when the heavy oil cracking is completed, the primary function for my hydrogen that I'm producing, which, like, you can, I've got a comment about this before, you can take water and make hydrogen, but it's incredibly inefficient. Look at this ratio here. Basically 0.8 water becomes 1.5 hydrogen and 6 oxygen. Don't ask me how they got that math. That doesn't make sense to me either. But this is what they ended up getting here: 6 oxygen to 1.5 hydrogen out of 1 water, basically. And what we're going to end up getting from that is not really enough to do anything, right? We can use hydrogen to use cement, and that alleviates the pressure off of fuel gas. So that's a good thing too. And we're going to want more fuel gas later. So that might be one option for hydrogen. But I think for the time being, my main goal with hydrogen is mostly going to be with heavy oil cracking, giving us another way of creating diesel directly from the heavy oil so that it doesn't need to be burned off from the naphtha. Like, we don't have to burn it off to make steam. That's what I mean to say. And so because of that, we can then instead turn it into 24 diesel, and then the 24 diesel can get used to create the naphtha instead. I think those are much better usages for hydrogen. So that's what we'll be looking to do. I wanted to make one quick other change before we get going in here, but I want to show you this too. I'm starting to upgrade this so that we can start using the crushed iron for it instead. And I'm also going to pause this and have it not work. I don't need it to, actually. Once these get rid of the iron that they already have, then we'll shut these down too. I simply don't need this much iron. So we're going to go with just these 3 units here. And this will be like this extra space where I could potentially expand steel even further if I need to, because it could just tap onto this. But I think maybe this is where sort of my just in case area, where I shut this down and I don't use it at all unless I need it in either iron or steel, and then I'll allocate it accordingly. So if I need more iron later and it's like I am underproducing it, I'll just flip it back on. If I need steel, I'll break it down and I'll do another setup in this space for steel since it's right there. Since I am also having more recyclables coming in, you'll notice that these belts are kind of getting backed up a little bit. Maybe not from this side, but this side here is from maintenance is pretty backed up. The conveyors are not very fast. They didn't really need to be. I have been toying with the idea of turning this on and building this, but because it takes power and a lot of workers, and I'm at the peak of my power at the moment, I've opted not to do that yet. But I may do that in the future. We'll see. Also, now I want to check to see if I've gotten all of these to be exactly where they need to be. Did I make enough of these generators? 6 here, right? Should be 12 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I undermade these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not crazy, right? I should have 12 here. Pretty sure I need 2 more on this. Yeah, I'm pretty confident we need 2 more on this. That should expand our power even more, right? Show me that 10. Yeah, 10 megawatts of power possible now. Did I do the same on this side? Should be, let's see, 1 megawatt, so there should be 2 for either of this, so 6. Yeah, I got the right number on this side. But I didn't do the right number on this side. Huh. Well, there we go. More power generation here. There we go. I think, like I said, we're at the peak of our power performance right now. This got empty because my sour water got backed up. Sour water got backed up mostly because the water got backed up. We actually had too much water. And so what happened was this system, actually I missed the pipe. This system did not get hooked up to the tank. And now it is. It was just kind of over here and it was connecting to this tank here, but it wasn't connected to this one. And so now it is connected to this one because it's attached to this pipe now underneath the belt right there. So we've also routed naphtha and also routed the brine. So the brine pipe is done. Brine pipe wraps around. It's like a little railing. I think it looks cool. It does raise up right here, which the more than I look at it, I feel like this is too early. I don't want you to raise up that fast, okay? Just, can you raise up at a sharper angle? I think you'll look better. Because like you have this nice protective railing and then it's just like, oh, by the way, you can just totally walk underneath this. Nah. Right? I wish you would go up from here. Yeah, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? I think so. Anyway, so it goes underneath here. I needed to get a little squiggly to get it underneath these pipes just because it's all, this is the naphtha pipe right here. And so this is the brine pipe and the brine is going to be sent this direction and it meets up and it goes across like this, right? So this is our naphtha pipe routed underneath the bridge and then the brine pipe is here and they both terminate right now at this part right here. And so now the question, the quest I suppose is to get these pipes to be underneath this bridge. I also need the ethanol to come in. The ethanol pipe has been done for a while. We're probably going to tap it onto this one here. So this will end up getting its direction reversed. But if I come all the way over here, you'll see that from this point here, if I redirect this pipe, make it face that way instead, right? Because this is a water pipe. So what we want to do with this one is we're going to bring it in from this pipe here. So this pipe's been done for a little bit. This one I think was paused. Yeah, I paused this one, but it basically runs underneath the belts. So this pipe runs underneath this belt, comes out over here, and wraps around and terminates here. And so what we'll end up doing is we're going to create the ethanol in this area using corn from the fields here. And once the ethanol is created, it'll get sent through this pipe and it'll get routed all the way over out to here. We'll then go under these two bridges, route that pipe around over here too, and send it all the way over here. And like literally the ethanol will probably travel further than any other resource in this game because we'll have the ethanol come out right here to be created for medical stuff, but it's actually created all the way over where those plans are. And it travels in a sort of a zigzag pattern around and it meshes with other pipes and it kind of wiggles its way over into here. So that's our ethanol journey. It's going to be very, very far. And but the thing is, pipes don't require maintenance. They don't require electricity. It's better for us to do everything that needs a belt really close and everything that needs a pipe can be sent from further away. And that's kind of where I'm going with that. Okay. I think I got pretty much everything good here. This needs 12 workers, so we'll go ahead and turn it on. And this needs 12 workers. The thing is, while I'm low on fuel at the moment, I won't be eventually. This is going to start filling up. As long as this is running consistently, we should see fuel pretty much filling up. Remember, we're also taking the fuel gas and oxygen and creating additional diesel here too. So in addition to these facilities creating it, we're creating it here. And this diesel doesn't go to the ship. It goes directly to the trucks here. So I think, like I said, eventually over time, these tanks are going to fill back up. But because sour water got backed up, the heavy oil crackers, or the distillation, it wasn't running. And so that heavy oil wasn't being distributed. Sorry, I misspoke. They weren't running because sour water was backed up. So the medium oil couldn't get to here, and then therefore we weren't creating the diesel. So that's a big deal there, yeah. Notice how the light oil is backing up now too, which is kind of interesting because I've got these ratios perfect. So because it all got backed up, the light oil, I guess, was able to accumulate here since these couldn't run, which is very odd because I don't know why. I don't know how that could be possible because this is supposed to be going at the same pace as this is. Perhaps it would be a good idea to make one extra distillation 3 just for the purposes of making sure that this is always empty, because I really don't want to have this I'd like to avoid the air pollution. So it's probably a good idea to do that. Same thing with the heavy oil, probably a decent idea to get one extra on this. Once we get heavy oil cracking, I think this will probably solve itself. But the light oil, it's not going to solve itself like that. So I'm kind of thinking maybe what I'll do, as messy as it could end up being, what I'll do is send the light oil and steam and create additional naphtha and fuel gas here. I might put that unit over here on this side, and we'll route this as the secondary. So like this pipe will end up being the secondary, and then this will end up being like, you know, what happens if you absolutely have to, sort of thing. And maybe I'll just come off of the pipe, come off the tank in general, and then, but that'll rob it from that source. It's all the same, but you know, there's things to think about. So anyway, I'm gonna leave this here. This is kind of a planning and talking you through plans video, but we did build some things, right? I mean, the steel is coming along. I paused it all because we don't have the workers. So once we get the workers, I'll upgrade another town too. Once we get the workers, this will start cranking out, which will be good for the backup that we have in our recyclables. I can start using more of that too. And I want to say that this isn't needed yet, but you know, we're recycling at 70% efficiency. I'll read this description for you so you can know what this means, because it probably doesn't mean what you think it means. It does not relate to the efficiency of this sorting plant. This instead defines how efficiently your island converts waste into recyclables in places like maintenance depots and settlements. So for instance, 40% efficiency means that 40% of the iron used in maintenance ends up in recyclables. So you can read the rest of this if you want to. Roughly translated though, what it means is, in general, as an average, we are getting 70% of our resources back. And I think that's pretty good. If I activated this, I'm not sure that would change, but you can see this area here. It gets backed up a little bit because of broken glass, and the broken glass has to essentially be managed by a truck to bring it over here. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get one big truck right here, and I'm going to tell this big truck to bring in the resources from this plant, but I can't do that reliably. Yeah, because I can't go to a plant specifically. So here's what we could also do. Why don't we route glass to a tank that it can be taken from, or do we just route it directly to there? That's a really far distance. But the thing is, I want to bring the glass directly to the research anyway. So if I could bring glass alongside broken glass and just make those two belts kind of go with each other, that's not a bad deal. I think I can make this work. I'll probably belt that. We'll probably say that a belt... it's extra power though, isn't it? You know, like if I just took the broken glass, it's actually here. I don't know what this is for. But if I took this broken glass, maybe this is for like uranium or something. And if I just kind of, I don't know, did one of these numbers and brought it around, it's not like trucks can go through here anyway, right? So maybe I bring it up to level 2 even. Have to be in increments. So we go up like this. And I could go, I guess, right over top of this and send it that way, and then send the glass alongside here with it too. It's an idea. I'll take a look at it, and maybe we'll just belt the glass over there instead. And then I could also, at that point, if I ever turn this one on, the glass from here also gets to go that way too, right? This belt's already put in. It's an iron belt. I will take the iron scrap around and drop it into here. And then we also have a copper scrap belt, I believe, which takes it around into here and dumps into this tank. And then this copper scrap is also getting trucked over to there. So it's not uncommon for me to just truck it over. The glass is close enough, I think, to where we might be able to make that work, especially when we redo the glass configuration. It'll bring it just a tiny bit closer at that point too. But mostly I'll just be dumping it into that tank. So I don't know, I'll have to take a look at it. But I'm gonna leave this video here for now so I can brainstorm how I want to squiggle my belts and pipes around to get it over there. I think it'll be okay. I think for the most part, if you zoom out especially, you don't really notice the belt spaghetti all that much. I mean, there's little elements here where it does bend and stuff, but it's incredibly compact builds like this that are just simply more efficient. It's more efficient than making giant straight lines and grids because you end up with things that are smaller, closer together. That means less resources to build it. There's not as much distance to travel through the pipes because it does have to physically travel through the pipes. So you end up with lower distances, less material cost, and less space so that you can be more dense and create more in the same space. I think that's pretty cool. So anyway, there you go. That's it for me. That's my case. I'll probably upgrade the town a bit more, and then I gotta go exploring too. The ship. I want to go other places. We got some question marks up there. Got one over here. I got one over here. Hopefully there's no pirates. I'll probably get a crew, and then we'll go and do that too. So, whew, that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see ya. Bye bye.